Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the December 17th Board of Education meeting. As we call this meeting to order, if you do plan to make public comments this evening, please get a comment card to Mrs. Callard at this time if you've not already done so. And I would ask that everybody silence their cell phones and remove their hats as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, could we do a roll call, please, Mrs. Callard?
Haney. Hanson.
Present.
Montague.
Present.
Murphy.
Present.
Odell.
Present.
Rambert. And Moss.
Present. I need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved. Support.
Been moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, up first this evening, as always, are our reports, and we will start with Ms. Ella Clark and our student board report.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So, starting at the high school, so 9th graders recently started their freshman presentations. So they're assigned to an upperclassmen classroom during Eagle time, and they present and speak about their career choice for the future. And then it's just to get them prepared for seniors. You know, so you also do your senior exit presentation in the second semester. So just getting prep for that. And then winter sports are in full swing, and I think the varsity sports banners are actually put up in the gymnasium today. And at Linden Middle School, so I spoke with a few 8th grade students from Mrs. Crumb's class earlier today to get a perspective on how the first part of the school year has been, and they told me many of their favorite aspects. So it's currently Spirit Week, and their favorite days are Hat Day, PJ Day, and then Yearbook, which is recently, within the past couple of years, added back as an elective, is a fan favorite. And there's many regards since our 8th graders say like being the eldest grade in the school. And then their SOAR program is currently holding candy cane sales during lunch, and they're giving out during the 7th hour, and the incentive is to spread holiday cheer and appreciation to their friends. At Central, fundraising from the Christmas extravaganza was able to help 13 local families in need. And then at Linden Elementary, they completed their end of EA testing, and then along with Spirit Week, there's a school-wide sing-along on Friday. And then at Hyatt, I attended the Breakfast with Santa on December 6th, and although it was busy, it was definitely a successful event, and at least 240 people attended and received their breakfast and picture with Santa. Then furniture also arrived for the new media center and STEM room. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Up next is Mr. Sosowski with the superintendent report.
Thank you, and welcome everybody this evening. Just a reminder that the last day for students and staff prior to the holiday break is Friday, December 19th. Beginning on the 20th, Linden Community Schools will be closed until January 5th, 2026, when students and staff return. Faculty Follies, kudos to the staff at Linden Community Schools. Through ticket sales and donations, the Follies brought in $3,916 and will be donated to Angel Tree and Christmas Express here locally in Linden. Student mental health. Yesterday, Coach Hesbrook from Ithaca High School presented to Linden High School students on the B4 Foundation. The B4 Foundation was created in honor of Brady Hesbrook, who tragically died by suicide, and its mission is centered on educating and advocating for mental well-being. The Assembly delivered a vital message to students. Before you act, ask for help. This program is intended to encourage students to seek help immediately if they or a friend are in crisis and to reduce the stigma associated with talking about mental health struggles. 31AA update. There's been no new information on the 31AA funding. We still anticipate that the courts will have a decision on December 19th of 2025. Safe Routes to School Pathway. I did meet with Jason Kostofsky and Ed Wrigley about the creation of a pathway through the Safe Routes to School program from Linden High School to Argentine Township Hall. They have asked Linden Community Schools for a letter of support, which we do plan to provide. And then on behalf of Linden Community Schools, we wish everybody a happy and safe holiday season. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ross. Any board members with reports this evening? Mr. Murphy?
Thank you, Ms. Luck. As
just like a couple items. I was able to attend the Follies last week, and I'd like to, again, express appreciation for the efforts of the LEA and all the staff that put together the fundraiser of nearly $4,000 for the community. It's a big time help for a lot of families in need, and it's been going on for like 30 years now. So next year we will have a skit and promise. I had an idea late, but with just having a few board members left because of many had gone to the conflicting Christmas party at Franklin wasn't able to pull it off, but I've got an idea for next year. So, and then I'd like to express appreciation to Mr. Selsky for adding this report into our link so that I didn't have to try and write it down. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Menke?
Thank you, Ms. Luck. Good evening, everybody. The dinner that Mr. Murphy referred to was the Genesee County Association of School Board Members dinner, and a few of us attended. Ms. Hanson, Mr. Haney, Ms. Luck, Mr. Susky, Ms. Thomas, and it's a great opportunity to get together. Ms. Hanson is a member of that board. They have monthly meetings. I will attend sometimes. It's a good opportunity for other board members, for all the schools around Genesee County to get together and exchange ideas. And there's a subcommittee of the superintendent, so they share a lot of ideas. It's a great opportunity to get together and compare notes. And Ms. Luck was recognized for her years of service. I think it was the 8-year mark is one of the ones that they have as a milestone, so congratulations and thank you for your years of service. And then for anyone that doesn't know, with the money that's raised from the faculty follies, I've been a member of the Linden Presbyterian Church for pretty much my whole life, and that's one of the places where the Christmas Express money is used. So we essentially have changed our Sunday school area to where now about half of those former classrooms is a food pantry, and there are appointments for people in the community that actually come down there and they can kind of self-shop. So there's shelves and they can go in there and get the food that they need. But actually over the past couple of days is where the Christmas Express boxes have been packed, so everybody gets a ham or a turkey along with a lot of the other things so that they can have a meal for Christmas. So it's fun to actually see how all the money that's raised here actually connects, and you see real people coming through there getting the food. So yeah, thank you to everyone that participated in that, and it really goes far in the community. Thanks.
Very good, thank you very much. Just a couple quick things. Mr. Soselsky mentioned in his board report about the 31AA, update at this point, but we did talk at the last meeting about a potential special meeting over the break. So we were looking at possibility of Monday, December 29th, sometime in the morning, maybe 9 or 10 a.m. Just kind of maybe put that on the back of your minds just in case we have to do that over the break, so that would get us really close to that December 30th deadline once we have some information about how that court case is going to be ruled upon. So, and then just on behalf of the Board of Education, to all of the school community, we hope you have a wonderful break. Enjoy the kind of time away from the daily grind and time with your families and all of that. So we hope everybody has a nice little break away from school. So that is all I have for this evening. We don't have any special presentations or recognitions on our agenda for this evening. We do not have any administrative updates. Are there any public comments? No public comments this evening. So that brings us to the consent agenda, which consists of our minutes from our work session meeting on December 3rd, invoices for the month of November 2025, and the personnel summary sheet. It is the administrative recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I will support it. So it's been moved and supported to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have one action item this evening, and it's with regard to the sinking fund election that we discussed at the last meeting under discussion items, and Ross gave us some presentations, some information that's up here again. Being that this is an action item this evening, I'm looking, and it is the administrative recommendation to approve the sinking fund election for May 2026 as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported, so at this time, Mr. Selsky, if you have additional information, or if any board members have questions or discussion on this, we can, talk about it before we go ahead and vote. So any thoughts, comments?
You guys
Well, I was just gonna, there was a couple questions. One question I know that the board had last time was on the transportation. We cannot use the sinking fund to pay for the contract between transportation, but, there is an option that if we separate the buses out of that, bought the buses ourselves, in the future, then the purchase of the buses could be used with sinking fund dollars.
Mr. Murphy?
Thank you, Ms. Luck. Thank you, Mrs. Stelsky, for adding that table that I was looking for a trend on the last 10 years of how heavily it affected the rollback of the millage from the 1.310.7 to 1.176. What that shows to me is it's not a guarantee, but it shows a trend that's relatively stable and decline. No serious peaks and valleys. What interested me about that was the fact that, as part of considering a May date versus an August date or November date, would be that I'm under the understanding that the heavily rollback for next year would not be imputed in that calculation if we went with the May date. Is that correct?
If we went with a May election,
Mm-hmm.
and, the current rate of 1.176 mils,
Mm-hmm.
that would remain for the collection of 26, 27, if it were to pass.
Right.
Yes.
And then at that point, we would see, so we go 1.1918 minus the 1.1176, which, it shows a decline of about 0.0158. And if we applied that trend to the amount projected to be earned with next year's sinking fund with an August date of the 1.214 million, 1,214,272, that by going early, and that's not necessarily a hard number, but it's probably a pretty good estimate. So that would save us about $19,000, looks like to me, by avoiding that heavy rollback and going with the August, or with the May date instead of August. And I think that was a concern of mine, was spending the money to pay for the election, because it's likely that we'll have to pay for the election. So it's a way in my mind to go ahead and justify going with the May date over the August date. So I mean, I think I can support that. I think there's certainly other reasons why it'd be nice to, I mean, I just think that it's easier to advocate for the sinking fund while the school is in session. Not that we push it, but that the information is more readily available to the public, because we have people around in session and can answer questions. They can do that all summer long, but it's more a point of mind, I think, while students are still in school. So I do like the idea of the May election, and if we can essentially, hopefully, pay for the election with this rollback not kicking in until the following year, I think it justifies the movement up to the May date. I believe that the sinking fund is needed, even though we do have a pretty sizable balance in it right now. I think people would say, why would you even ask for more money when you have all that saved up? And my hope always was with the sinking fund that it would be a way to kind of keep pace with our needs from a restoration and refurbishment to the district, but not necessarily be the only solution. But I think it buys you time, and the idea of contributing a little bit every year to a savings account, to me, it's less of a burden on the taxpayer than asking for a big amount down the road in the form of a bond. So if we ever did have to ask for another bond down the road, it would only help reduce that. I think the fact that it's grown to 4.7 or whatever $million right now is a testament to the boards. Even though we've had the bond paying for a lot of restorations. I'm sure if the board was reckless enough, they could have spent all that money too. So the fact that we didn't, I think shows good, evidence that, it's a tool that we will respect and that we will, continue to cherish down the road. So I think the only other question that was raised to me was, are we going to have to advertise this as a new sinking fund versus a renewal of a sinking fund because of the language that allows for the technology and the, security aspect?
We cannot call it a renewal, and as you can see in some of the slides. Right now, I do have it listed as a replacement.
Okay.
It's new because the language is new, but the mills that we're levying, the taxes that we're collecting are the same.
Do we even have an option of not taking those two aspects, the technology and the, security that have been added since then? To say, we just, because some people might say, you know, I'm not really comfortable with you buying technology or buying, that seems like more of a ongoing operating kind of thing. And so, as a taxpayer, I don't wanna necessarily pay for that aspect. You know, I'd like to see you take that out of your general fund to pay for it.
That, as we talked last time, that is an option. The three that are outlined in red are what we currently have in our sinking fund. The other language, were the additions from 2017. School security improvements, acquisition of upgraded technology, student transportation vehicles, the repair of those, as well as maintenance vehicles and the repair of those. Yes, the board has the option to remove any of those or add any of those check marks.
You can specifically line item that?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, like I said.
I think with technology, but again, we are really a one-for-one school. So
Yeah.
we have a continual update on that. If we didn't have sinking fund options, yes, it would be a general fund that would now, be included into our annual budget, if you will.
Right. And I guess the reason I say, well, okay, I can understand that, we should probably not add that, but I'm also, I believe that the state is going to find it harder to make the kind of increases in the per student aid increases that they've had in previous, say, 5, 6, 7 years. They've been pretty generous. And I believe that is because the number of kids being divided into the school aid fund number, I think is gonna stabilize, because it's dropped so far already, and I can't believe it'll drop a whole lot further. And so, that being the case, then the state won't have necessarily more, because they've been able to give us more because they've got a smaller number dividing into the same, relatively the same stable dollars of the school aid fund revenue sources. So, I think in future years, we'll probably like to get like $100 bump per kid. I really see that coming, not the $400 or $500 that we got this year. I think they've been working a lot of magic to get us the numbers they've got us in the last couple of years, so. By having this options of, if we chose to buy technology through that, or some of the other issues that are listed there, not to really, probably, the transportation thing, if we ever go to that, it's an option, I guess, but I don't see that. And those other ones I don't see they're relatively large costs, so, technology, to my mind, would be the biggest additional draw on the sinking fund if we went with the whole list of items there. So, I just feel like we can be good stewards of the money, and the state has given the blessing to add these categories, so I think we should probably keep our district competitive by allowing us to also utilize these categories, so. I guess I feel like, those are my reasons that I think I can support this, sinking fund, the projected, the 1.7, the one we're asking for. So, yeah, I guess that's it, thank you.
All right, thanks, Mr. Murphy, and yeah, Russ kind of answered it as well, but I was gonna sort of wrap it up for those that are here tonight, just to kind of help people start understanding, even though it is worded as a replacement, it's essentially a renewal, because we're not asking for more, it's just renewing what will be expiring at the end of December in 2026. So it's not costing anyone more, and we have more flexibility now with these additional items that we're allowed to use them for as a district. So honestly, if properly communicated, people should be happy that they can be used for more of these things now that might not have to come out of the general fund. So, it's a good thing. And yeah, we're not asking for additional, money on top of that. So I think just making sure that we start communicating that to everyone high and wide so they understand, when it comes time for the election, so that we're successful in that way. But, Mr. Montague, do you have something like that as well?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I agree with most of what Mr. Murphy said. I'd gotten comfortable knowing that it was gonna be roughly a wash with doing the May election, and then, thanks Mr. Murphy for asking for the additional detail and running that math a little tighter. So, yeah, I think it's the right thing to do, and obviously we have more chances to get it passed the earlier we start. So, and I think these are all advantages to add the additional language. I think if I'm a voter going to the ballot box and I see that they can include all these things, including some of the points that were made about technology upgrades and not having to have those sit for a number of years, and all of a sudden we've got this big catch-up problem that we have to do. I think this gives us a lot more flexibility. So, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and I think also just the kind of like position we've been in with the funding from the state the last few years, our bond, obviously, that's been very successful, and how we've been able to use those, dollars, and then, kind of saving our previous sinking fund dollars for, any expenses that come unexpectedly down the road. It does show good stewardship on behalf of the board and the district, I think, to Mr. Murphy's point, but I also think that for the public to understand when they go to vote on this, that it would be, I feel, as a board member and as a community member, as a parent in this district, it would be negligent for us not to have a sinking fund, as a district as well, because that would be one need away from like that savings being wiped out, and then now we're dipping into other general fund monies that could take away from, staff, instruction, other things, and we've been lucky not to have to dip into that because we've had these monies available. So even though we've been able to save and have a little bit there now, it's still gonna be really important that we have this continuation of savings, for the next, 10 years moving forward. So, other comments or questions from the board members? Okay, well, with that, then, we do have a motion and support to approve the sinking fund election for May 2026 as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And thank you, Russ, for getting all that together and bringing it to us as well. All right, we do have one discussion item this evening, with regard to the Argentine, elementary building, and we have a special guest, Teresa Sosowski is here to give us some insights and information on some things she's been working on as an amazing community member, and advocate for not only the community, but of the district as well. So, Teresa.
Okay, this is
On the top.
This is a project that would be in collaboration with the Linden schools and the Argentine Township Board for the Argentine Elementary School that has now been, is no longer in use. It would be trying to obtain this grant through the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. It's a land acquisition grant. There's a lot of success on it, and what they do is take the fair market value of the property, give 75% of it to the board, to the school. The school would forgive the 25% from the Argentine Township. Then the school would use that money in escrow to take down the building and give that school property to Argentine Township to develop into a park. That's essentially what I'd like to see done. I know there's a lot of specifics not mentioned in this, but that's the general view of the grant. I went through the MDNR Recreation Trust Fund. It's a pretty simple process. I talked to the MDNR already. They like the project. They like the collaboration with the township and the schools taking down the property. It is on a lake. I don't know what the future use of that lake is, as far as what that property will be used for. There's a lot of questions still out there, and it's a good property to be used for a park. I think Argentine Township, I've talked with all of the board members there, everybody seems to want to move forward with, looking to develop a plan together. So, yeah, there would have to be that secondary agreement along with the trust fund, receiving the trust fund. But the township would want to, I believe, use the play structures that are currently there, parking area, and then return that building to the natural grade. It's also could be a really good project to fit in with the recreation in the township, because the township is looking to expand the trail system down Silver Lake Road, and that could be a trail path for it. If you guys have any questions, that I'm not able to answer tonight, please, or if you think of anything, please feel free to either email or text me.
I'll go ahead.
And Teresa, the process could take up to 2 years.
Yes, the grant application we do in in April, and then the awards are in December, and then you have to go through a lot of motions. But, you know, it could take 2 years, we might be able to get it done a little bit quicker, get everything in place.
Yeah, I think that's probably the only downside. I love the idea.
I love the idea too. I mean, I selfishly am working on this project because I have to drive past it every day to my home. I live by the township hall, and I don't look forward to seeing that property if it was bought by a private company, and then if they foreclose on it, that building is just gonna sit there for the next 20 to 50 years. No one's gonna wanna take it down.
I don't think it's selfish at all. I think it's selfless that you were looking into options to bring some of these ideas to the school and to the township. I think, you know, when I was talking with Russ a little bit about it, it sounds like, my understanding at least, with the kind of financial piece of it, because we had the money in the bond to potentially, you know, demolish the building anyhow, we would recoup most of that from, you know, the acquisition, that would happen, which would be awesome. So it's not like we'd really be gaining on it, other than gaining the space, but we also would be losing on it, which I think is huge, you know, for the, you know, the district not to lose on it, but we also, you know,
It would go back to the community is what it would do.
Exactly.
It enhances the school district,
Right.
which is where the people live. It give Argentine Township its first park.
Yeah, and I think that's, I think that's a great idea. I don't know, other board members have comments, questions, Ms. Brandon?
I just wanna say thank you so much for doing this. This is like a great idea, 'cause I don't think we would get much money for commercial, the building as a commercial, because it just seems like most schools that sell don't get very much. And you're right, Argentine does need a park, and I'm just like, thinking off the top of my head, like, I know it's 2 years, but we could do something for the kids, like tennis courts, fishing, kayaking, there's so much potential. There's not a lot to do for the kids out there, and especially if you guys can do a pathway, make it so safe, and there's not a lot of parking for things out there too, so thank you for doing this for everybody, if you can make this happen.
Yeah, and I also, when I talked to the DNR today, they did say that property, it can't be, let's say, 5 years, Argentine Township is the owner of the property, and they say, we wanna sell this and make residential to residential builders. It cannot happen. This property is in perpetual use recreation.
Yeah, Mr. Martin?
Thank you, Mrs. Selsky, for this presentation. When I heard this was out in the wind a little bit ago, I was kind of excited about it, because I think that, what I really wanna see is Argentine Township benefit from whatever happens to that building. That's been a big play of mine all the way along since we determined we weren't gonna be able to use it anymore as a school. I kind of hope that the township would see it as a nice new township hall facility for them. I kind of expressed that a year ago, and they kind of looked at it, and they just don't see the viability of that, because the operating costs of the building. So I think they're really not looking at it from that perspective, but it's nice to hear that you feel like the township is behind this idea, because that's probably my number one driving consideration, is how does the township board, which represents the township, feel about it, because, you know, the amount of money that could be exchanged here, if I kind of read your presentation right, if that value of that property was, say, $400,000, they would give us like $300,000 to get rid of the building,
Right.
75%?
Right.
which is above or right around what we're being targeted right now. So it basically allows us to keep the 250 that we have in the school bond, for school bond stuff, and then allow the 300,000 to pay for the demolition, and seemingly everybody's happy except for maybe a future developer that they need. But, no, I'm really excited. I hope the township board moves forward with this concept, and if they're behind it, I'm behind it. Let's
Great.
put that.
Great, I mean, there's gonna be some details that
Yeah.
be taken care of, I think everybody right now is sitting in the same place, like the project.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yeah, thank you so much, Teresa, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, sorry,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I didn't see you.
Oh, no, you're fine. And maybe this is one of the details that'll come out later, but I know that you had mentioned that it cannot be turned into, say, a residential park in the future. How are the mechanics of that expressed? Does that come as part of a condition of the grant, and then it's kind of written into, say, the ownership of Argentine Township? or-
I don't know, but I asked the question to the DNR guy, and he said there is an agreement, I think, when you take the grant. That's my best understanding of it. I don't know if it's put into the deed of the property too.
Okay.
That it's he said perpetual use of recreation only.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Thanks so much. No, you're all right, thanks. It's all good.
All right, well, that was our only discussion item this evening, and we do not have a closed session, so students that chose to come to this meeting, you picked a good one. And thank you for the ones that moved right up front when you came in. So, with that, at 6:32, we are adjourned. And anyone up here can sign your form